All right, true believers, good morning and welcome to the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. I am your host, John. True believers, we have one of the final installments of possible Ted Bundy victims today. We've been doing this for a while. Possible Ted Bundy victims that you've never heard of. This is the case of Elizabeth Perry and Susan Davis. And this case took place in the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. And as always, if you have any information on this case, contact these places right here. Take a picture of it. Take a picture of it in your mind. You can drop us a comment if you have any tips, or you could drop us a like or drop us a subscribe. We appreciate it all. Let's get down to the case in mere seconds of these two possible Ted Bundy victims, Susan Davis, Elizabeth Perry. Let's get into it, guys, on the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. All right, we're going to tell you about the Garden State Parkway murders and these two girls' story as we draw on them, like we always do on the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. Garden State Parkway murders was on Memorial Day weekend 1969. Two college girls from Pennsylvania had spent a typical down-the-shore mini vacation in Ocean City, New Jersey, a beach mecca for South Jerseyans and Philadelphians. Susan Davis and Elizabeth Perry enjoyed breakfast at the Somerset Point Diner at 5 a.m. before leaving for home in Pennsylvania. Bubbly co-eds, they attracted male attention during their oceanside respite, and the diner was no different. They were joined by three good-looking young men before they left for home. The girls took off in their light blue 1966 Chevrolet convertible down the Garden State Parkway, where at mile marker 31.9 they vanished into obscurity and were never seen alive again. In the 53 years since their murders, there has been no resolution to this crime. 3 days after their disappearance, which had alarmed their parents from the time that they hadn't arrived home safely, their bodies were found in a secluded area of the woods near Egg Harbor. The victims had been stabbed repeatedly. Susan, who was nude, lay face down, her long hair crusted with blood, and her neck was tied to a tree with her bra used for the attachment. Oddly, her clothes were folded neatly beside her. Elizabeth, attired in a green dress, lay on her back with twigs and leaves partially covering her body. She was wearing a few pieces of expensive jewelry, and her purse containing a few dollars was nearby. Thus, it did not seem like a robbery was the motive for the murders of these two girls. Was it someone in the diner, maybe, that thought these two girls were attractive? Or maybe he just thought one was attractive and the other one was collateral damage. Who knows? It seems odd that one was nude and one wasn't. Over the more than 5 decades since the crime, various law enforcement agencies investigated, coming up with multiple theories as to whom the perpetrator may have been. The New Jersey Police, Atlantic City Prosecutor's Office, and the FBI interrogated thousands of people and tracked leads that took them all the way to the West Coast. Christian Barth, the author of the Garden State Parkway murders, mentions that his awareness of the case was born when his mother made a comment while his family was traveling near Ocean City on the Parkway. "They never found out who killed those girls, did they?" she asked her husband. So Ted Bundy happened to be attending Temple University at the time of the killings. Confessed to a prison psychologist that he had killed Perry and Davis while vacationing in Ocean City. Bundy claimed that the two co-eds had been his first victims in his marathon murder spree, which spanned from Washington to Florida. But you also don't know if Bundy was telling the truth. He had a habit of lying to save his skin. Based on the information, Barth devotes a large portion of his investigation to possibly that the Davis Perry murders were indeed the first of Bundy's killings. There were many markers to the crime that fit Bundy's modus operandi. In fact, an off-duty police officer who happened to be leaving a bar across the street from the Summers Point Diner claimed to have seen a clean-cut looking young man with his arm in a sling getting into the blue convertible with Susan and Elizabeth as they were leaving the diner. One of Bundy's famous ruses to gain sympathy from young women so that he could trap them was to claim to have a debilitating injury which made him appear harmless and helpless. Although Bundy gave varying stories over the years as to whether or not he had killed the co-eds, until the moment of his execution, nothing definite showed up to prove unequivocally that he had or had done it. Another possible assailant whom Barth delves into is Gerald Eugene Stano, a white supremacist with a very long criminal history. In fact, Stano may have participated in the bombing of the Morrow building in Oklahoma City. When Barth introduces Stano into his narrative, he states Gerald Eugene Stano was the deviant predator lurking in the minds of each teenage runaway who takes to the streets. The binge drinking psychopath working gals warn one another about. Binge drinking psychopath working gals warn one another about. Relying upon a cunning instinct for avoiding detection, he forged a bloody swath through Florida's Atlantic coast during the mid to late 70s. He claimed to have murdered 41 women in all. That's someone I never heard of. While under investigation for the murder in Florida, the police reached out to the Whitpain Township, PA Police Department in order to do a complete background check on Stano. The New Jersey State Police found out about Stano and made a connection between him and another suspect in the Perry Davis murders, Mark Thomas. The investigation shows that in '69, Gerald's younger brother Roger had been questioned by the New Jersey State Police regarding the Parkway murders. As teens, Mark Thomas, Gerald, and Roger Stano all had juvenile records. The detectives from New Jersey began to wonder if these three young men had conspired to kill the two college girls. Again, although a thorough investigation over a long period of time was conducted, there was no evidence uncovered that could be consequential enough to get a conviction against Stano, his brother, or Mark Thomas. Garden State Parkway Murders is an absorbing and disturbing tragedy of the butchery of two girls who had such promising futures cut off by such a heinous crime. Could have been Ted Bundy who did it. The deaths of Susan Davis and Elizabeth Perry, in which case he has paid for their demise with his life. Could have been Gerald Stano, whose life started out on the pathway to hell but eventually straightened out. Or it could have been one of the other suspects that the author includes. One final peculiarity of the case is that the author has found that law enforcement is not willing to share information that may have been discovered in more recent times. This leads us to the final mystery in this dark case. What is the legal system hiding from those interested in bringing closure to the death of two young women and nearly half a century ago? Well, they could be hiding evidence because the person that they think did it is still alive and they don't want to tip him off. It is frustrating to the families, but the detectives have to keep their mouths shut. Not everybody wants to understand that, but it has to do with the integrity of the case. It's all about holding up the integrity of the case. If you got a guy that you think did it and is still alive, you don't want to tip him off by saying too much in the media. And it is frustrating to the family members because they want answers. That's why the detectives, they have a hard job, in my opinion. And we're about to wrap up this case, guys. Another one drawn in the books. If you have any information on who killed these two beautiful young girls, please contact these places here and they will direct you into the right place to go further with your information. That's it, true believers. Another one in the books. Peace out.